Throughout the 21st century, and particularly the last decade, frats across the country have caught the attention of the news, prospective students, alumni, families, and even the nation. Depending on where you live and go to school decides what you think of Greek life and the stigma and reputation it carries. Whether it's the different codes of silence, special handshakes, traditional oaths and rituals that change from one fraternity to the next, there is one thing that remains constant across all of them. That is the brutal induction process to become part of the secrecy, the brotherhood. Hazing. Hazing first became illegal in 1993, and today is illegal in 44 states. However, within the last 10 years, there have been 40 deaths due to hazing and 60 deaths due to frat-related incidences. So what creates this culture, a culture of hazing, substance abuse, and sexual assault? Well, in 2012, Andrew Lose, courageously but with fear, revealed the horror stories of hazing in his Rolling Stones article, Confessions of an Ivy League Frat Boy, Inside Dartmouth's Hazing Abuse.
For Lose, the worst happened one night in the SAE house. He claims he had to swim in a kiddie pool full of vomit, urine, fecal matter, semen, and rotten food products.
And all the pledges sit in a circle around the pool, and one by one, when their name is called, they have to climb into the pool and swim around.
Andrew explained by the end of his pledge term, he had vomited so much that the enamel on his teeth was largely burned away. He decided to report his fraternity for hazing. Andrew believed that this was for the best interest of the fraternity and for Dartmouth.
Look, this is what happened. And I'm trying to turn a really bad situation into something good for other people so that no one has to have the experience that I had.
A few months later, Andrew received a call from Dartmouth's Office of Judicial Affairs to inform him that based on the information he provided, the college was taking him to court for the illegal acts of hazing. Ultimately, the school turned on him to protect their reputation, and in the end, no punishment at all was given to the fraternity. So the question is, where does this end? And why do schools allow hazing to continue without strict implications?
A freshman at West Virginia University died today.
At 11:52 on November 12, 2014, police were called to the Kappa Sigma fraternity house at West Virginia University. When police arrived, a pledge laid unconscious on the ground, frantically trying to be revived by one of his brothers. That pledge was freshman Nolan Birch of New York. Nolan was rushed to the hospital in critical condition and put on life support. He had a blood alcohol level of 0.493. Nolan M. Birch grew up in New York State. He was known for his outgoing personality and ability to make friends. He was very excited to go to West Virginia for college and planned to study business and sports management. He was also excited to join a fraternity. He went through the pledging process for 3 months up to the night of November 12th, which was considered Big Brother, Big Sister night. Security footage of the night shows Nolan being handed a 750 milliliter bottle of 100 proof whiskey that he had to drink in under an hour. About an hour and a half later, his limp body was carried back to the frat house where he was laid face down on a table unconscious, his head tipping over the edge, his pants stained from soiling himself, and his blood alcohol level almost 6 times the legal limit. His frat brothers joked and pointed and even jumped on the table, which they had previously used as a stage for strippers. This went on for a half hour. A brother who had not participated in the night of drinking came in and tried unsuccessfully to revive him, and 911 was called. Later it was learned that if one of those brothers had gotten help earlier, Nolan would still be alive. In the wake of this tragedy, Nolan's parents decided to take a stand and created the Nolan Birch Foundation, otherwise known as the NMB Foundation. The mission is to assist young adults in recognizing and preventing the dangers associated with hazing. They seek to make sure what happened to their son never happens to anyone else.
The same story is seen time and time again. Radford University, a public college in Virginia, is another example of this. 20-year-old Samuel Mason, a pledge, attended a party at the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity house on a Thursday night. Sam's friends put him in the bed to sleep off the intoxication. Sam's lifeless body was found off campus around noon the next day, October 15, 2010. The investigation went on for months, and eventually it was found that this tragic incident was hazing related. Sam Mason's mother, Mary, explained that his loved ones say Sam was a wonderful brother and son. She explained that he loved the outdoors and sports. During the investigation, there was a code of silence that hindered the investigation. Though there is not much known about these secret oaths, it is clear that many fraternity members are sworn to secrecy about what happens in the frats. No matter what, some of these brothers will not break this code. However, as the investigation continued, details did unfold. It was found that Sam Mason was drinking dangerous amounts of alcohol and died from alcohol poisoning. His blood alcohol content was 0.48 according to an autopsy report. Eventually, 5 of the 7 Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity members were charged with hazing and purchasing alcohol for a minor.
Timothy Piazza came to Penn State University in 2015. During the spring of his sophomore year, he decided to join a fraternity, Beta Theta Pi. One night, he and his pledge class showed up around 9 p.m. for the Gauntlet, a night of initiation into the fraternity. Tim Piazza was given 18 drinks in less than 90 minutes by fraternity brothers. At around 10:40 p.m., Tim was visibly intoxicated and staggering around the house. He stumbled toward the front door and attempted to leave, but was unable to open it.
12 security cameras captured the Penn State sophomore slowly dying from his injuries to his head and spleen, sustained during a series of falls.
At this point in the night, he could have been saved. Instead, he was left unconscious on the couch.
Barbaric death. A young man who was struggling, who was sick, who was ill, who was in pain.
Piazza fell down the basement stairs shortly before 11:30 p.m. Fraternity brothers found Piazza bruised and unconscious. Video shows him hitting him or pouring liquid on his face in an apparent effort to revive him. Others were seen propping Piazza up with a backpack or sitting on his legs.
Pledge came into the living room and saw Timothy, groaning, roll off the couch. He attempted to lift himself onto his knees and cradle his head in his hands. Instead of helping, this pledge took a Snapchat video and left the house.
Piazza was largely left alone during the early morning hours. In the footage, he staggers, collapses, and slams his head. At times, he writhes on the floor in obvious distress. He apparently fell down the basement stairs a second time, and by the time Piazza was found hours later, a detective who watched the video said he looked like a corpse.
At 10 a.m., Timothy was found in the basement, unconscious, and was carried upstairs by 3 men. At 10:48 a.m., 12 hours after Timothy Piazza first fell down the basement stairs, 911 was called. Timothy Piazza was rushed to the hospital, where he was diagnosed with multiple traumatic brain injuries, a fractured skull, and a collapsed lung. On February 4th, 2017, Timothy Piazza died. Tim Piazza's parents have established a foundation in his honor to research and prevent hazing. Beta Theta Pi has been permanently banned from the Penn State campus. Although Timothy Piazza's story has brought awareness to the dangers of hazing, his death is one of so many that could have been prevented.
Fraternities have been around for hundreds of years. The problem of hazing in particular seems to be perpetuated by the toxic culture that these men are exposed to. To these college students, nothing seems more important than being socially accepted by other members of their fraternity. They will do anything, including humiliation and drinking to the point of no return. We need to start a conversation about the secrecy of what happens at these frat houses. We must educate individuals, communities, and colleges on the dangers of what these students have to go through.